think we're up now after a little bit of a technical hurdle to overcome. Let me make sure the Instagram feed is up. And there it goes. I am Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, which is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics related topics, including but not limited to friction, force, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic energy, elastic force, a range of science topics after we have conducted experiments to drive home those concepts and learned all we can learn. Then I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student has the opportunity to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the program. And once they've selected their car, then they weigh their car, they test the speed of their car, they check the year the car was manufactured, they check what materials the car is made from, because that has an impact. After they have made all of these observations, entered that information into a spreadsheet, then they set up a 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip, and we have a tournament, race the cars. And when we race the cars, the students are able to observe how their cars performed and see whether their cars performed up to or below their expectation level. And if they had the opportunity, would they select that car again, or would they make a different choice based on everything they observed? So in the end, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars. We learn about science. What could be better? If you would like more information about our science program, All About Aerodynamics, and how to bring it to your school or your organization or your special event, you can visit our website, aaerodynamics.com, or you can find us on Instagram, aaerodynamics, and all of the information you need is right in the bio. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about Aerodynamics Presents Wind Tunnel Wednesday. So what is that? We have the Funtech Labs 1/64th scale Windsible, which is a wind tunnel scaled down to fit 1/64th scale die-cast cars, which are Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars predominantly. And we can put the cars in that wind tunnel. We turn it on, the air flows over, under, and around the cars, and we're able to determine how much drag the cars are going to encounter when they race on the track. Well, when do they race on the track? Every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific, we are here with AtTheTrack.live, and I introduce new cars into that fleet. I mentioned that I bring 400 cars for the students to choose from. Well, actually, in the fleet, we're up to 917. There are 917 total cars, and every Saturday I go into storage, I bring new cars that I haven't opened yet, open those up, take a picture, shoot a little video, enter information into my master spreadsheet, and then those cars are ready to be entered into the fleet, so they're potentially available for students to choose. After all of that has happened, since I've brought the cars in, we've taken a look, done a little review, the track is already set up, so then we have a little mini tournament. But wait, there's more. You have the opportunity to participate. All you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, address is down there, and you have 3 options, the YouTube stream link, the Twitch stream link, but the third option, the most important one, is the one that says choose your car. If you select that option, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet are listed. All 917. They are listed, they are named, they are numbered. You can scroll through, find the car that you want to race, select that car. All you have to do is take the number that is beside the car. So if you think it is, let's say just a random number, 263. Let's find car 263 right here. If you think this Scion XB is going to be faster than the other cars that I introduce, all you have to do is take the number of this car, in this case 263. You would drop that in the chat, and I will pull that car, and it will be entered into the tournament. And we will see if your car can beat out the other cars that are picked, or if we're going to have a situation where your car gets beaten out, and you have to wait until next week to find a different choice, a different car, and make a different pick. We have trucks, we have cars, we have fantasy cars, we have cars based on real cars, we have cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, some that were just released in the last couple of weeks. Every kind, type, and style of Hot Wheels car that you can think of. If we don't have that exact car, we have one very, very similar. Again, there are 917 different cars to choose from, and it is likely that you will find a car in there to race. So once you find the car, you take the number, drop it in the chat, I pull the car, and boom, just like that, you're entered into the tournament. Now, if you do that same thing today, you find a car, pick a car, instead of taking it to the track, which we only do on Saturdays, what we're going to do is take that car and put it in the wind tunnel. When we put that car in the wind tunnel, you will be able to see the aerodynamic profile of that car and find out whether or not it is likely to encounter more or less drag on the track. And why is that important? It's important because if your car is going to do well in the tournament, it is going to need to reduce the three forces acting against it, which are drag, gravity, and friction. And with the friction, it can pretty much avoid adding obviously the wheels touching the track creates friction, but it will create even more friction if the car gets a bad launch and is scraping up against the sides of the car. That usually happens more so with narrow cars and really light cars, that they bang against the sides of the track, creating friction, which slows them down. Gravity. Our track is a flat drag track. It is not a gravity track. So having a heavier car does not work in your favor in the same way that it would on a gravity track. So that's a consideration. But the factor and the force that is most important is drag. And what we can tell when these cars are in the wind tunnel is how much drag they're likely to encounter, for most cars, on the track. And what do we compare that to? Well, we compare it to our fastest in fleet car, which has been, and is currently this one, the BlitzSpeeder. It is the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet, and it has been our fastest car, our fastest in fleet champion for the past most of this year, and for a good 4 months of last year. It has only lost one race. Our tournament races are best 2 out of 3, and it lost 2 out of 3 last November to a car, the Gazella R, which we had a rematch this spring, and the BlitzSpeeder beat the Gazella R and has beaten every car it has faced, most by pretty wide margins. So what we do is we always put the BlitzSpeeder into the wind tunnel first, and the reason we do that is because it's obviously the fastest car in the fleet. There's something about it that is making it the fastest car, faster than all the other Hot Wheels cars it's faced, and at this point it has faced probably well over 100 cars in terms of the tournament and cars that it could potentially race against. So what is it about the BlitzSpeeder that makes it the fastest in-fleet car? Well, one thing we absolutely know is that it's able to reduce the impact of drag, and that is what we're going to see in the wind tunnel. So let's switch over to the wind tunnel view. Hey Christopher, hey Virgo, how you doing? Jerome and Daniel Pena, how you doing? Yeah, so we are looking at, I have 3 BlitzSpeeders. I have a green one that was has just been re-released recently that you could probably find in the stores. I have this one that I had from a while back, and then of course this one is the actual championship BlitzSpeeder car. But we've raced them all, like this BlitzSpeeder that you're looking at, the championship car, raced against the green BlitzSpeeder and against this BlitzSpeeder that's in the wind tunnel. And the results were close. So the BlitzSpeeder races, the BlitzSpeeder versus BlitzSpeeder races, the results were close. Those cars were kind of neck and neck right there at the end. So it just goes to show that it's not anything special about this BlitzSpeeder, because they're all really fast. And they're all really fast because of the design. And on our track, these cars are able to reduce the impact of drag. So we always start off with the BlitzSpeeder in the wind tunnel. Let me make sure it's straight. And it is not. I didn't have it lined up properly. Now it is. And we start with this because any car that's going to beat the BlitzSpeeder is probably going to have a similar aerodynamic profile to the BlitzSpeeder. It's going to need to, because what we see with the BlitzSpeeder, here we go, starting at our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour. And what we see with the BlitzSpeeder is that it does not lose speed as it moves down the track. It is, it's losing speed, but because it can reduce the impact of drag, it loses speed at a much slower rate, which means it maintains its speed for longer. Other cars with bad aerodynamic profiles, that is not what happens. They start to slow down noticeably, especially against cars like the BlitzSpeeder. They start to slow down noticeably toward the back end of the track. And what we had, now we're up to 147 miles per hour. This last week is we had a car that Roughshod picked, that the high voltage, that would start off just about every race it was in. It would start off either even with the other car or behind. And then toward the back end of the track, it would start to close the gap. It did that with a couple of different cars. It would close the gap at the end of the race, which means that its aerodynamic profile was good. Now, there were other factors that caused the car to not get such great launches and have worse starts, but because it was able to reduce the impact of drag more significantly than the cars it was racing, it was able to start closing that gap, maintain a higher speed for a longer period of time. The problem was it would start to run out of track, and that was it. So it couldn't quite close that gap, but I remember when Roughshod picked it and we stuck it in the wind tunnel, we could tell that it had the good aerodynamic profile, and that's what you're looking for, because the BlitzSpeeder, what you notice is that there's no separation, that the air hits the bumper of the car, comes up on the hood, goes up to the windshield, trails along the roof line, and then right to the back to this wing. Where with most cars, we're at 174 miles per hour. We're going to turn it up to 188. With most cars, what we will see when we put them in the wind tunnel is that right around here on the top of the roof line, where the roof sort of drops off to the back of the car around the trunk in a standard car, is that the airflow separates from the body of the car. And when that happens, it creates this area. We talk about this all the time. It creates an area of low pressure. There's high pressure at the front. There's low pressure at the back. And the air pressure is always trying to move from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure. When that happens, when there's high pressure at the front, low pressure at the back, then you're going to get pressure drag. And that pressure drag is going to be working against the forward momentum of the car. And that is going to work to slow the car down. So the BlitzSpeeder, in having this situation, this design that allows the air to just flow right across the body, it doesn't separate. The BlitzSpeeder is able to maintain its speed for longer, sort of cut through that air, and it is why it is so dominant. And any car that's going to beat the BlitzSpeeder had better have a similar profile. We had the slide kick. Slide kick, same thing. It had a flat, the top was pretty much flat. It looked almost like a surfboard. And the slide kick was, I mean, right there with the BlitzSpeeder. It's probably the closest race the BlitzSpeeder has had outside of the Gazella R. So any car that you pick, when you go to AtTheTrack.live, you go to choose your car, and you scroll through all 917 cars, the car that you pick is probably going to need to have a similar profile, aerodynamic profile, to the BlitzSpeeder in order to be competitive. So we will see. That is the BlitzSpeeder. It is our fastest in-fleet car. We've had multiple BlitzSpeeders, so we know that it is not anything specific about the one that we have that is our champion. It is just the design of this car that makes it the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. And we're looking, because odds are that there is a car that is faster than the BlitzSpeeder. But until we find it, none of that matters. This is the car. And we will see if we can find one this Saturday with the new cars that are introduced and the cars that viewers pick, which car will end up being the challenger for the BlitzSpeeder. Now, on Saturday, we had this one, the Hypertruck. This was the car that ended up in the finals against the BlitzSpeeder, and it hung in there pretty well. The BlitzSpeeder ultimately beat it, which is not a surprise. But the Hypertruck, I think one of the issues is when we're talking about drag, we're going to put this in the wind tunnel, but we're going to see that the airflow, I'm pretty sure, is going to stack up here in the front, come up over the top, hit the roof, the hood, the windshield, the roof line, but then here is where it's going to run into the problem, is that the air is just going to tail off here. This car, because of the size and the shape, it was able to maintain a pretty high rate of speed. It's actually very light. All of this plastic, it's on the metal base, but it is, I think that's going to be the thing that when we put it in the wind tunnel, we're going to see probably made the difference. And like Roughshot's saying, if this bed was closed, this car probably would have taken the race. I'm not 1,000% certain. I'm about 999. Well, that's a little much because the BlitzSpeeder is fast. But I think this car would have had more of a chance to actually beat the BlitzSpeeder. It did well. And if you want to see how well it did, you can go to our YouTube channel, check the live tab, and see everything you need to see. All of the past episodes of At the Track Live are there on the channel, and they are listed, and there are time codes. So if you just want to see how the Hypertruck did, you can jump right to the drag races. You can already see it's a long car, and this part right here, if this roof line just connected straight back, it would have pretty much the same aerodynamic profile as the BlitzSpeeder. Now, granted, this front area is a little bigger, so I think when we turn it on, we're going to see the air stack up right here. It's going to be sort of a darker white or brighter white, darker white. Can white be dark? White, dark? It's going to be a brighter white, and that'll be where the air is stacking up, and then it will flow over the top. So let's go ahead and see. I'm curious to see what happens here. I think the air is just going to tail off, and it's going to be really messy right there. You're going to see a lot of turbulence. Let's see. Christopher is going with car 206 and 717, and Roughshot 321 and 204. Okay, I will start up the Hypertruck. See what's happening here. And then go pull those cars. So we're at our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour, which doesn't usually tell us too much, but it is a good starting point. So we already see, you can see the quote-unquote darker white, brighter white right here where the smoke is stacking up. But let me go ahead and turn this up, and it will usually kind of define what's going on a little more. We're up to 107 miles per hour. 121. 134. And I think, for the most part, so the air seems to just be flowing from the top just across the back. And here goes the Windsible doing its usual thing. It's a little erratic. This is I have the absolute first generation from the first batch of Windsibles made. I backed this on Kickstarter and was one of the original backers that provided the funding for them to actually make this. So it's got some little quirks and things, but for the most part it works as expected. I would presume that by now that they've had more experience with their manufacturing and design and everything. So if you get one, it's probably not going to have these same little quirks and issues. I know there are some things that they have they've mentioned in their Discord that they have corrected and changed. We're up to 121 miles per hour, push it up to 134. For example, this smoke filters out the back, and I'm not showing it, but because the desk is messy, and it's hard to see on camera, but this smoke does kind of leak out of the Windsible, and so I think that the newer versions are the seal is a little tighter, so that doesn't happen. There's a filter in the back, which I took out back here. That was when we were dealing with the Windsible. I had to remove that filter, and on mine, this filter is jammed in there, and it's really hard to get out. I think they said that they changed the tolerances on the newer versions, and so they are easier to remove. And that is that. Let's see. Let's go up to. Let's take it up to 161 miles per hour, and yeah, I think the air is flowing. You can see it tailing off, like right here. It hits this lip, and then it just kind of goes off. And I mean, it's not a wild amount of kind of turbulence that we've seen with some other pickup trucks and certain fantasy cars. But I think that if this was sealed, if this went straight across there to the back, let's say it was just a smooth line, there's no lip here, and it went right there all the way down to this other yellow part, this might have been the car, presuming that the weight doesn't change all that much. And also another little key is these orange wheels are on Hot Wheels either Track All-Stars, Best for Track cars, and they're not really clear what exactly that means. So I don't know if there's anything physically different with those cars that makes them better on the track, makes them faster. But if it's a fantasy car and it's got those orange wheels, you might want to consider taking a look at it, because it's probably going to be light. The only information I've found from Hot Wheels is that those cars have a metal base, and that's pretty much it. We're up to 174 miles per hour with the Hypertruck, and I am going to go and pull Roughshod and Christopher's cars so we can get those in the wind tunnel. We'll just keep taking a look there at the... Oh no, you know what? Wait a minute, we've got another car to look at. Because this car, before we get to those pics, we've got the Hypertruck. We saw what it did. And so this, putting it in the wind tunnel, was just really a matter of taking a closer look at a car that did pretty well. But here is the car that is finally going to be making its racing debut this Saturday. It is this one. It's the MST-Suzuka. This car could not race initially because these plastic side panels that curved up around the body made the car too wide to fit on the track. And while I was doing some work with the video racer and another car, it turns out with that, it was the Riley Scott Mark III. I bought a tool that was able to just clip off those plastic panels. So on the left side of the car, I was able to clip off those panels. And interestingly enough is this body work, because this is where the panels were, and the body is just open. The metal part of the body, I thought it would go back here, but there's this little triangular cutouts, where Hot Wheels just said, yeah, we're not going to finish the car. We're just going to, why add additional metal if it's going to be covered up? So I was able to clip that off, and now it's got a weird thing. I wasn't worried about the symmetry because, so I didn't cut these off, because just cutting one side off meant it was going to fit in the wind tunnel, or in the launcher. So since it's fitting in the launcher, and it was already in the fleet, I just didn't know, because no one had ever picked it, I didn't know that it wouldn't fit into the launcher. So now we are going to have that one in the launcher, and we are going to see what it can do this Saturday. So let's take a look at it in the wind tunnel, since it will be racing. And once we get that set up and get this going, I will go and pull those other cars. We have this one right here, the MST-Suzuka, which, I don't know, I think this car has a shot. And what's interesting with this car is right at the top, right there at the front, in the roof line, that's that opening right there. Just like right there. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the air. Is it going to come through? So usually what we see is the air will hit the front bumper and then kind of stack up here and then have to go over, under, and around. Well, with this one, it can hit, and because there's an opening right there, it should be able to hit and then just flow right on up to the hood. So let's see what happens. Make sure I've got this lined up correctly. And I don't. It is way off. Moved. Alright, just want to line it up in the center. Got that in there. Let's lock it down. And go ahead and fire this up. We're at 67 miles per hour. And now this is interesting. So right at front, you're seeing this kind of this turbulence here. And some of that, as you'll see, is the air. It's actually pulling off to the side. You can see right there how it's, try to get a better angle. Right there. The air is just flowing off, coming around. So let's go ahead and turn this up and see if we can get some more definition. See what's happening. Up to 107 miles per hour. And there's just a lot going on in the front of the car. Remember, so with the BlitzSpeeder, remember you can still, with the BlitzSpeeder, these streams are still pretty clear as the air flows over. When the airflow is kind of turbulent and the air is pulling away from the car. Then it just gets into this sort of white mass, and there's no real clear definition. But let's turn up the speed and see if any of that changes. Up to 147 miles per hour, and you can really see that this air is just hitting here, and it's just flying up in the air. It is not following the hood, not specific. Let's see if I can see right there. The air is coming up through that little opening, but when it does, it's kind of, you can see it kind of arching up just high, like right there. This part of the stream, right here, it's just coming up and over. You see it coming out of that little opening right there and then just arching up. And if you follow that line, well, when I turn this back on, but you notice that line was coming up and then it was just continuing to go off into the air. So the MST-Suzuka, pretty interesting car, and I really am curious to see how it does on the track. But look at that line. That air is coming right up through that hole, and then you can see this line right here. It's just going all the way up here. Whereas with the BlitzSpeeder, this air was following right along the body of the car. The lines for the different streams were very clearly defined. So this is not necessarily what you want to see with this car, or with any car really. We're up to 147 miles per hour. I am going to go pull Roughshod and Christopher. I'm going to go pull your cars, and then we're going to take a look at those, drop them in the wind tunnel, and see what we see. Alright, so we've got the, push that up to 188, and it's just getting more turbulent. So I think that this car is going to end up in a situation where it's going to slow down at the back end of the track, and when that happens, we'll know exactly why that's happened. So that is the MST-Suzuka. That car will be racing this this Saturday, 11 a.m. at AtTheTrack.live. Let's see. Take a look at. All right, so Roughshod has made his picks that he wants to see in the wind tunnel. Number 204, which is 204 is this Lotus Esprit right here. So we will drop this right here. The Lotus Esprit. We can take a quick look at this one. Pretty standard as far as these cars. I mean, it's got a kind of. I mean, it's a Lotus. It looks like a Lotus. I think if we compared it to, I don't know. I guess like the Ferrari, Lamborghini, kind of that wedge body style. But let's see what it does in the wind tunnel. And take out the MST-Suzuka. Put that there. Switch over to here. And take a look. So with the traditional cars, I think we get better information in the wind tunnel from the more traditional cars like this than we do from sometimes the fantasy cars are just so outrageously designed that it's hard to really see much. And with this one, what we're seeing, at least what I saw initially, is again the air stacks up in the front, comes up over the top, and right around here that air is kind of breaking off. But let's turn up the speed and see if we can get a more clear picture. We've got 134 miles per hour, and again, air stacking up there, has to go over, under, and around. Air's coming up over the top. And most of the Hot Wheels cars, almost all of them, are flat on the bottom. So in that regard, they're all the same. So we're not overly concerned with what happens beneath, because it'll be the same for just about every car. It's what's happening up top and how this airflow is working. Let's turn this up to 174 miles per hour. And we are still definitely seeing air just kind of flow off right here in this area, which is really what we expect from most cars, is that right when we get to this point in the roof line, the air starts to just kind of break off. It's only the fantasy cars, the fantasy cars and some of the hypercars, the Lamborghinis, the Paganis, cars like that, where we see the design is such that the airflow just kind of stays attached to the body all the way to the back end of the car. We're going to push this up to 188 and see what we've got. And that is the Lotus. I don't know that it's kind of just a standard situation. But here's what won't be standard. The other car that Roughshod is considering is this one. It is I think this is like the Sweet 16. I believe that's what it's called. This one is interesting. One, because it's an open wheel car, and if you've watched our races, especially last year, open wheel cars are tricky because when they crash, boy, do they crash. They crash, and usually the front wheels hit the barrier on our track, and when that happens, the axles get bent. And when the axles get bent, the cars are absolutely retired from racing, because the bent axles mean they are going to curve and crash and grind against the... let me get this back up a little. yeah, when these axles get bent, the car is not gonna do much of anything. It's not gonna be of any use to anyone any longer, because that's, I mean, it just can't do anything, and you can't bend those axles back into place, so there's no fixing them. But more importantly for this car is that back end that I'm looking at that's coming around here. That pointy back end, and the fact that this car is narrow is probably going to mean that it is going to have some weird launches. It could possibly have a good launch, but odds are that it is going to it's going to be an adventure. If this is the car that Roughshod goes with for Saturday's races, who knows? Who knows? This is one of those classic cases of who knows, and we'll see. So let's go ahead and stick it in the wind tunnel. It's a longer car, definitely. Let me try and get it lined up here, right in the center. Make sure it's lined up. This is, so the purple part is definitely metal. The engine is plastic. The silver parts are plastic, and I believe that the base right here is also metal. Actually, I know it's metal because I was just looking at it to try and see the name, and it was tough to read. Yeah, so it's got a metal base. This purple part is metal, and it didn't feel particularly heavy when I was holding it, but yeah, that's unique to have a car with this much metal on it racing. So let's go ahead and turn this up. And as we hit 80 miles per hour, it's kind of interesting because with this being a fantasy car, it's hard sometimes because they're so unique to kind of get a clear picture and idea. Like with that Lotus is a traditional car, and we could see pretty much everything we needed to see. With this one, the airflow, because the body, especially that front part, which we'll just, I guess, just call the hood section, this section is so narrow that, yes, the air hits it and flows up over the top, but it's also so narrow that the air hits it and flows around the sides. And so it's not clear how that's all going to impact this car when it's time to race on the track. Can take a look up here and see what's going on right there. Not really. It's tough. It's the fantasy cars. It's a little more difficult to see what exactly is happening, but let's turn up the speed, see if there's a little more definition we can get in there. At 161, 174, and I mean, you can definitely see the air kind of hitting here and then tailing off. You can see it kind of right there a little bit. It's tough. I think with this car is going to come down to, can it get good, consistent launches? That's going to be the trick for this one. Can it get those good, consistent launches? Okay, the Sweet 16. Sweet 16 2. Roughshod is going to go with that. And yeah, you got to take those chances, because if with the Lotus, you pretty much can guess, like, it would probably do well, but does it have that little extra whatever that's going to make it, you know, a top car that's going to be there in the end. Now with this Sweet 16 too, this is going to be a boom or bust car. I think, you know, if it gets a good launch, stays straight, then, you know, it could do well, depending on the matchups. It could also be a spectacular grand opening, grand closing situation where this car hits the track, hits the barrier, and then is retired for good. We will find out this Saturday with the Sweet 16 too. Now, Christopher is considering, one of the cars he's considering is this one, which is, I didn't look up the name on this one, but it is a customized C3500 or C3500. I can't tell how those numbers are spaced, but it's a pickup truck. Now, interestingly enough, this has got big frontal area, so the air is going to stack up here, come over the top, and then it's probably going to just tail off here. Even though the bed is closed, it is still pretty low, and so we are going to see, it's got these flared fenders in the back, almost like a dually, but it is not. It's just got the one wheel there. So let's go ahead and put this in the wind tunnel and see what we can see. Switch this over here. I think we have had a pickup truck do well, and it was our fastest in fleet car for a while, the Draftnator. And the Draftnator was a pickup truck, fantasy pickup truck, but a pickup truck nevertheless. And then we had the Hypertruck just last week that also did very well. So let's go ahead, take a look here, get this lined up. All right, and we'll see. Let me move it forward a little. Well, actually, I don't think we need to move it forward because all the action that we're going to need to see is going to happen in the front and right here at the top. So let's go ahead and get this set off at our cruising speed. And we're seeing exactly what we thought. Now at a lower speed, you do see that the airflow does kind of dip down here, but it's stacking up right against this frontal area, and then again when it hits this windshield, because when you start dealing with these standard cars, you know, the windshield is at a traditional standard angle, so that is not going to be the best for, you know, drag racing. And where you see these areas where the white smoke gets darker or brighter, those are areas where the air is stacking up and it is not flowing very easily. So I think this is a case where drag would absolutely slow this truck down and turn this up to 161 miles per hour. And it's still, this bright white is not what you want to see. The air comes up, comes over the top, and then it just flows off. So you've got a lot of high pressure here in this dark, brighter white area. High pressure, low pressure back here where the air is just tailing off from the truck. And that's not, it's not ideal. Not ideal at all. But that is just one of the cars that Christopher is considering. Pump it up to 188 miles per hour, and we are still just seeing the same thing, just in more detail. So that is the custom C3500 or C3500. So that is that. But Christopher is also considering another car, which is this one. It is the, I believe this is a Supra. And recently we had that 711 Supra racing, and it left a little to be desired on the track, but again, a lot of it has to do with matchups. This car seems to be a little more compact than that one. They may be, I don't know if it's the same car, but it does seem to be a little different than the Supra. I'll have to check that out. We've got the wing in the back, which is sticking up right at the roofline level, which is typically a good sign. It means that this wing is going to press right up against the launching block. This car should get a decent push out of the launching block, and then we'll see what happens from there. So let's take a look at it in the wind tunnel. Switch over to this view, and get this car, make sure it's lined up right, and it is. All right, let's see, take a look at this Supra, see what's going on with this one. Bump it up to 67 miles per hour, which is pretty standard. We do see, you could see when it first came on that air is hitting the front and then kind of tailing off from the car right there. But let's go ahead and push this up. We're up to 94 miles per hour, and again, when that air is hitting like right at that front bumper, this area, it's the air has to go over, under, and around, and we see a lot of the air just coming around, hooking around the front of that car. It's got a little splitter on there, but not significant. And there goes the Windsible. Come on. This thing does get quirky. So let's go ahead and push it back up, and it keeps popping off. So let's see right here if I can clear it out. Fire it up again. Let's go. All right, at the low speeds, 40, and when it first comes on, you can see the path that the air takes, especially over the top. Now as we increase the speed and some of this clears out, we're at 67. Let's push it up. We're at 107. We're up to 134. 147. 161. And I think that between, we'll see which one Christopher goes with, but this car would seem to clearly have a better shot than that truck, just based on what we're seeing here. That truck, even though we have had trucks do well in the past, those trucks have been like the Hypertruck or the Draftnator, which have been fantasy trucks that have been a little more angular and a little more streamlined than a standard kind of pickup truck. Gonna push this up to 174 and 188. And again, the air is hitting the front bumper. Some of it's going around underneath. It's hitting that tiny splitter. And then it's flowing up over the hood, hits that windshield, comes up to the roof line, and then kind of tails off here. It's not following down the body of the car. It is just kind of pulling away. But this is sort of standard and typical for a regular car based off of a real car. This is just the kind of thing that we tend to see. So I think that if Christopher goes with this, the weight will be important. The launches this car gets are going to be key, but I don't think this is a bad pick. Do I think this car is necessarily BlitzSpeeder fast? No. And the reason why is just because of the aerodynamic profile, but that's most cars. We've had fast cars on the track, and just because a car can't beat the BlitzSpeeder doesn't mean it's not fast, even though that is ultimately the goal, is to beat the BlitzSpeeder. But you can also pick a car that can beat out all the other cars that are picked. So as long as you do that, that's really all you need to do. You don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the next person standing next to you. So if you can beat out the other cars in the tournament and just get that shot against the BlitzSpeeder, then hey, anything can happen. Because we've had the BlitzSpeeder the last 2 weeks. The BlitzSpeeder has had one race where it's had a very bad launch. Like something's happened at the launch and the other car beat it. But the races are best 2 out of 3. So when the BlitzSpeeder gets a solid launch, which it usually does 9 out of 10 times, it beats the other cars. But hey, if you can get to that matchup against the BlitzSpeeder, and the BlitzSpeeder can have 2 bad launches in a row, then or at least 2 bad launches out of 3, you can kind of sneak in there and take the title. I don't know if that's the way you want it, but you can win on a technicality. Boxers win on points. Strange things happen, but that's a possibility. So our races are every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific. We have 916 different cars for you to choose from. And all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live and you will see all of the cars listed and numbered. Find the car that you want to race. Take that number, drop it in the chat on Saturday. I will pull the car and you'll be in the tournament just like that. You will have the chance to take on the Sweet 16-2, the MST-Suzuka, and whichever one of these cars that Christopher ends up going with, either that C3500 truck or this Toyota Supra. So those 3 cars are, or at least 2 of those cars are definitely going to be racing. There's going to be a third one depending on which one Christopher goes with. And then I'm going to pull cars from storage. We're going to have those in there. And if you want to pick a car, you're more than welcome to. If you want to watch the episodes after the fact, which most people do, you can go to our YouTube page, click on the live tab, and then all of the episodes are there and listed. If you would like more information about our science program, all about aerodynamics, all you have to do is go to our website, aerodynamics.com. Go to our Instagram account, Aerodynamics. Check the bio. All the information you need about bringing our program to your school or your organization or your special event is right there. And like I said, we'll be here on Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific, YouTube and Twitch live. And we will be racing Hot Wheels cars. So, yeah, see you later, Roughshod. Everybody else, participate. Why not? You like Hot Wheels cars, or you wouldn't be here, or you wouldn't be watching. Just go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, find your car, we'll race your car. You pick the cars, we race the cars. That's what we say. That's what we do. So, until Saturday, I am Coach James for Wind Tunnel Wednesdays, for All About Aerodynamics, and for At The Track Live. I will see you at the races.